Okay, so hello everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Juan David Bisbal. I am currently the chair at the ASME student section at Universidad del Norte. At the same time, I am a board member at the Mechanical Engineering Student Committee, or CEIM in Spanish, at this institution. On behalf of CEIM and the ASME student section at Universidad del Norte, we are delighted to welcome you to this conference called Make Your LinkedIn Pop, the second event that our student section is hosting this semester. This will be a 1-hour session mainly focused on LinkedIn, a powerful social media platform that enhances worldwide connectivity. Learning how to handle basic LinkedIn tools, building a robust and attractive profile, and keeping up with soft skill development are some of the topics that will be addressed throughout this session. But at the same time, Marcus will be going over some of the strategies he used to grow his ASME chapter and how these can be applied to all different student organizations. Please, if there are any questions throughout the conference, the chat box will be available. Feel free to share them through it. And if someone is willing to ask a question throughout the mic, please raise your hand using the tool in Zoom provided for that. And one of our staff members will let the guest know to avoid abrupt interruptions. With all that being said, I am overjoyed and honored to share with you our speaker for today, Marcus Lannie. Marcus is a senior student at Purdue University, graduating in only 3 years with a degree in mechanical engineering and minors in economics and intercultural communication. Marcus served as president of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME, which under his leadership grew from 10 to more than 300 members. He currently serves as chairman of the board and works part-time as a product manager with A-Laser. Marcus's previous internships focused on program management with G&W Electric, management consulting with Rolls-Royce, and mechanical engineering and marketing with Rogo Agriculture. Marcus is best known for his Marcus's Morning Minute LinkedIn video series, where he has been sharing an idea of optimism in a minute-long video for over 500 consecutive days. Marcus is a highly sought-after speaker on topics including leading a student organization, LinkedIn, branding, and succeeding as a university student. Marcus, my friend, it is our pleasure to have you here with us today, and the audience is all yours.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Juan David. Thank you to everybody, ASME Columbia, Universidad del Norte. Thank you for having me. This is going to be super exciting. So today we're going to be hitting on, making your LinkedIn pop, really standing out, but then also kind of a new aspect of how can you effectively lead a student organization. And I'm going to share some of the actual strategies that I leveraged while I was president, now chairman of the board. Juan David covered it really well, but this is me. Actually, something new is that I'm going to be pursuing my Master of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering at UC Berkeley next year. I'm super excited for that. And that's going to be taking that leadership experience I've gained through ASME, the different jobs and internships, and being able to apply that to design products that I'm hoping will really change the world. So what this presentation today is going to look like is first, we're going to try and figure out what's LinkedIn's vibe. It's kind of similar to some other social medias, but how is it different and how is it unique? Next, I'm going to be talking about how did I use LinkedIn and how have I leveraged it specifically in my ASME journey to help our ASME grow. Next, we're going to be talking about what can you do to your profile to make you stand out, and that's making your profile pop. And then we're doing what I call popping off, because it's great if you have an incredible profile, but you need to actually leverage it and make those connections and make those gains. And how this is going to work today is if I'm talking to you guys for an hour, 50 minutes straight, that's not going to be a fun presentation. So feel free, drop some questions, turn on the mic, you can cut me off. I love the questions. And we'll be having breaks after each section and then questions at the very end. And I'll even be including a live demo during this presentation that we'll be able to really see how to leverage LinkedIn. So the first part that we should go over.
Marcus.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
You said we can interrupt you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
I just wanted to ask you, maybe someone is a little bit shy in English. Can they ask their question in Spanish?
Yes, if they ask it in Spanish, I would do my best, and I would appreciate one of my awesome polyglot friends to be able to translate that one for me too. Sweet. Thank you so much. And I really hope even if your English skills you don't feel the most confident in it, try your best to ask that question. I would try to answer in Spanish, but I don't think you really want to hear that. So anyways, we're going to start off with what is LinkedIn? And it's really cool because it's a unique blend of the professional side, but also the social side of a social media platform. And with over 777 million users that go on at least once a week, it makes it a leading platform around the world. And now we're going to be talking about how it's similar to other social medias. And an important part that I would say we should start with is that it's first similar to Instagram, because you're posting the highlights, you're sharing the good stuff, and you're hyping each other up. But here's where it's different. And it's really different when you get into the DMs, and that, LinkedIn's meant for DMs. But when you're on Instagram and you slide in somebody's DMs, you think you slide in all smooth like this guy. But honestly, sliding into LinkedIn, the Instagram DMs, you slide in more like this kid. It's kind of rough. It doesn't always go the best. So while you're able to hype each other up, and that's the similarity, the difference is that the DMs are just very different, and we're going to be able to better resolve that with a different analogy. So while Instagram's, like an okay analogy, what place has better DMs than Tinder? So LinkedIn is kind of like Tinder, because it's normal to go slide in those DMs, and your whole goal is to take that online conversation offline. Now, I'm not going to say where you're trying to take that conversation on Tinder, but on LinkedIn, you're trying to take it to a coffee chat, to go out to lunch and just get to learn and meet this person. And now, I don't know the types of people that you guys are into, but I'm really into people that are my own age. But the problem with LinkedIn is that there's a lot of people that aren't really our own age. So an even better comparison might actually be Facebook, because there are older people on LinkedIn, but they're happy to chat, and they have the money and the resources needed for you to take those positions and really have those resources to keep moving forward. And now there's a drawback with the boomers. And it's actually, I saw this meme like just last week on LinkedIn, and it said, each different age range uses different emojis to say that they think something's funny. So Gen Z, you're going to say, I'm dead. You drop that skull emoji, it's super funny. The millennials, you hit them with the crying, laughing emoji. But I'm telling you, the boomers on LinkedIn, they love the sideways crying, laughing emoji. I have no way to resolve that one, but you just have to understand that LinkedIn is at that intersection between Instagram, because it's positive, you're supporting each other, Tinder, because the DMs are incredible, and Facebook, because there's the older people on it. And now that we have a good understanding of what LinkedIn actually is, we have to start looking into the power of LinkedIn. And it's an incredible platform because you're able to knock on any CEO's door. Now, if you were to go show up to some random CEO's house, they would have the police called on you very quickly. But sliding in their DMs is normal. And it's a great way to start building that network, but also to learn how to brand yourself. And there's a really important distinction we need to make. And it's the difference between skills and strengths. Now, skills are things that you can learn. It's things that come with enough practice, you'll be able to master it. So for most of us, we're engineers. So you're able to learn coding, CAD, or you're able to learn something like soccer or football really easily. And then you can become good at it. But strengths, that's something that's really innate to you. And that's something that nobody can truly teach you, but that you develop on your own. So for example, we might enjoy working with people. You might enjoy serving the community or having a passion to work in teams. And it's at the intersection of your skills and strengths that you're going to be able to effectively determine your brand. And now you have to start looking to both attract and repel opportunities. So when you're leveraging LinkedIn, you're building that brand. Not only do you want recruiters and other people reaching out to you because you're a certain person, but you want to make sure that people that don't align with what you want aren't reaching out to you. So what does that look like? So for example, on my profile, I say that even though I'm a mechanical engineer, I want to go specifically into product management or technology. So anybody from the automotive industry will know that not to reach out to me. And that helps you create direction. And before you know what exactly you want to do with your life, I feel like you're like this graph. You have to put energy in all different directions so you can kind of figure out what you want to really go big into. And after you really try out a lot of things, then you're able to go big in the one thing that makes you really excited. And it's not just a linear process, it's that it's actually circular. Because after you understand the one thing that you really love, you're going to go explore more of the niche areas within that one item and then go big into it even more. And so I'm going to start showing how did I figure this out during my own LinkedIn journey. So it starts off with coming to Purdue, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And so I joined, it's a program called the Engineering Project and Community Service Learning Community. And that's how I started to learn that I really like using my engineering skills to impact other people. And I was like, I'm going to get a job. So I applied to 100 jobs online, and I was feeling great. I got my internship, but then COVID hits and my internship was rescinded. And now I'm like, crap, like I spent all that time applying to 100 jobs when if I had built 100 different relationships, I wouldn't be, without any leads right now after COVID had hit. So I started out my video series and I started networking for fun. And this is when I start meeting people. And this is when the opportunities start really flowing. And so I had my first internship with Rogo Agriculture in mechanical engineering and marketing. And this is how it actually went down. And I reached out to the CEO and I just said, hey, I think what you're doing is really cool. Can we talk more about it? He responds, good conversation to start. Just a few hours later, he asked me, do you have summer plans? And then offers me a job to go work with him. And what's really unique about this is that it's something called the hidden job market. And it's that most jobs aren't posted online, but it's somebody that's really looking for the right talent or that they're willing to create a job specifically for you. And now something to highlight in this is that there was just 3 or so hours in between my initial outreach and when I got the job. And now that's really incredible. And that's much faster than your normal networking will work, but it shows the opportunity that you have if you do go networking. And now, so we get back to campus, I have another internship and I become vice president of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME. And there's no better way to create direction than actually doing things. Because it's one thing to go learn, it's one thing to go read a book, but it's one thing to go lead, to go try design teams, to go recruit other people and work with them. So what I did as vice president is I led a sports equipment team, designing lacrosse sticks for underprivileged youth in the West Lafayette area. I founded a prosthetics team and I ran a design competition. And it was all those experiences that then helped me figure out that I wanted to go into program management or product management, which combines that engineering and business aptitude all into one role. And similar to the last outreach messages, here are my actual messages. I just reached out and said, can we talk more about the role? I'm interested in the company. And just a month or so later, the recruiter finally got back to me. We talked and he set me up an interview. And this is showing the power of networking. And then in the next phase, we'll start talking about how can you actually start leveraging this power after you've built your profile. So then I come back to school and my first job says, Marcus, we'd love to have you come back. I was working for both mechanical engineering and marketing. And they say, but this time you can only choose one. So let's say you come work for us. Would you rather work in mechanical engineering or marketing? And I told them I would work at a different company. And that's what I was able to do when I figured out my brand. And I figured out that I wanted to do both. And I would not spend any time or energy working on only one of those. And this is where I figured out my current job with A-Laser. And then I became ASME president. And this is when I really started growing the club and trying to figure out how can we connect with our members and provide them with opportunities. And so here's just a brief look into my strategy leading ASME. And the first one is that you should have a strong mission statement, which is different than national ASME's mission statement. The international ASME says advancing engineering for the benefit of humanity. Okay, that's cool, but that's not at all what we do in college. So this is the one that I wrote, and it's that ASME Purdue helps students land jobs and internships that they love. And it's also something that you should make a personal mission statement, that you need to understand when you're waking up every day, when you're branding yourself, what are you working towards? The next thing is that as a leader, you need to start your team at what I call trust level 100. Too often, teams start you off at trust level 0. When you start a new job, they believe you can't do anything. You have to prove yourself every step of the way. And then it's such a slow process and you can never actually get to your potential because they're never letting you really work outside of your comfort zone. So how I flipped that on its head is I started my members at trust level 100. I believe that they could do everything. And then I found out much more quickly, what can they actually handle? And do I even need to give them more than I ever thought they would take? And we adopted the who, then what approach. So focus on your people instead of the positions and work that you have. So if you have a great person, like I've met so many great people in this Zoom call alone, you should find them positions instead of having a position and trying to fit somebody into them. And then just truly connect and build relationships with your team beyond ASME. A big one is do more. We talked about this like just a couple of minutes ago, is that you need to do, you need to try and not just think about things you want to do. And then embrace that failure, break it down, and make sure that you're able to take some learnings away from it, and that you just didn't say, oh, it's a failure, I'm never going to think about it again. And then a big one is to think, what would you do if you could rewrite the rules? When you come into any student group, into anything, any organization, there's so many rules and red tape. So you need to think, if these rules weren't here, what would I do? And then go change those rules so they can align with making it easier to grow your organization. And for example, my role with that was we had a set number of leadership positions, and I took the opportunity to figure out ways that we could expand those leadership opportunities. And then finally, make the organization fun. When people are having fun, whether it's a presentation or an organization, they're going to want to come back and they're going to be able to keep spreading the message. And then I'll talk just a little bit more later about how I actually leverage LinkedIn to make this growth strategy and execute it. And then continuing on the LinkedIn journey, we grew ASME from 10 to 300 members, which is incredible. But throughout the process, it helped me learn my own passions and figure out where did I want to go. So I'm really into public speaking, my video series, the program management. I got into startups recently, and I love volleyball. And this whole journey is because I've had a strong LinkedIn profile and because I've reached out to people. And by understanding what LinkedIn's like compared to the other social medias, you can have a great head start to being able to have your own successful journey by leveraging LinkedIn. So now before we move on to actually building your profile, do we have any questions about either LinkedIn's vibe, my LinkedIn, or my ASME journey? If not, we'll just keep cooking right through. Okay, sounds good. So if there's no questions about, that means that we have a good understanding of the LinkedIn vibe and how I use LinkedIn. Now we're going to start talking about how can you build your LinkedIn. And an important step is that I'm going to walk through literally from the top to the bottom of your profile, what you need to have and what you need to do to make your profile stand out. So the whole goal is to make it pop. It's that when somebody looks at your profile for the average like 5 to 10 seconds, they remember your name and what you do. And so how do you start that? You have to have a profile picture. Now, it doesn't need to be the business formal wear, but make it professional and make sure you're the only person in it. And this is one of the key tips in building the profile, and it's called the header. That's what I have behind the profile picture. And most people leave that blank or they just have it as a nice picture, but I have like zero artistic ability. And just by using Canva, that's canva.com, I was able to create this little graphic that tells more about who I am and what I'm involved in. And so when you have that header, it shows people that you're fun and that you have other interests that they can align with. And the next big one going down the profile is your header. And please, if you take anything away from today, do not just be a student at Universidad del Norte, or don't be a student at whatever university you're at. You're more than that. And you're not just an engineer at the college too. You need to say the mixture of your different interests that allow you to be unique. And don't limit it to what you just are. Make it what you want to be. So for example, I have optimistic leader, public speaker, program manager, mechanical engineer, and founder with my video series views. And what's important about this is that all of these words are searchable. So instead of making it, that you're just a student, make it where you want to end up. If you're trying to pivot, say, from nursing into IT, you would say that you're looking to be an IT business analyst, or you're saying that you want to be your specific position before you even have that position. And there's nothing better that I can say than just not being the student at whatever university, because you want to separate. Because right now, if you were to be a student at Universidad del Norte, you're competing against 9,000 other people. But if you really get into your skills and strengths, you're going to be able to be more unique and have less competition. The next step is to be gaining credibility. And on LinkedIn, there's a thing called connections. So similar to other social medias where you have followers, LinkedIn has connections. And it's almost like you have to follow each other when you connect. And from 0 to 499, it says it on your profile, and people will look at your profile that you're not the most credible because you don't have the biggest network. But as soon as you have any number from 500 to 1,000,000, it only says 500 plus. So there's no such thing as stranger danger. So start connecting with anybody that you think might be interesting and that you might be able to help, or that they might be able to help you. And next up is your about section. It's like your life summary, and it encourages people to reach out and to make sure that they know what you're interested in. And honestly, it's a pain in the ass. Nobody likes doing it, but you got to do it. And so you should write it in first person, because the only people that write it in third person is anybody that's famous or usually CEOs. Whenever kids write it in third person, you think they're kind of conceited or very weird. So how you should structure it is who you are, what you do, what you're looking for. So for example, if I was to rewrite mine, I would say, I'm Marcus Lannie. I'm a student at Purdue University. I'm a product manager with A-Laser. And I would list some of my accomplishments at Purdue, whether it's in ASME or professional ones. Then I would tell them what I'm currently working on, the teams I'm involved in, the public speaking, the presentations, and then I'm going to be going to UC Berkeley for my master's program. And then what am I looking for? Personally, I'm looking for connections to the startup world, just to meet entrepreneurs and anybody that's interested in getting to know more about technology. And now by having that little format, which is fairly simple, you give people your background and you let them know if they're going to be good people to actually reach out to you. And now it should be 3 paragraphs at least, but here's what's great. The difference between a paragraph you write for school and a paragraph on LinkedIn is that a paragraph on LinkedIn is no more than 3 sentences. And why is that? And it's because people on LinkedIn don't like reading. They want more white space and they want smaller chunks so they can digest more information more easily. And so a big question I get is, should I buy LinkedIn Premium? And you get LinkedIn Premium only when you've actually maxed out on your LinkedIn with the free version. And this happens when you start connecting with a whole lot of people per week. I'm thinking over 100, almost 200 different people. So there's no need to buy LinkedIn Premium until you're really ready to go all into the platform and start meeting and reaching out to more people. And just make sure you know that everybody can see your activity. So while you're supporting people, make sure that the comments are either appropriate or that there's something that you're okay with everybody seeing because it's on your profile. And now my personal opinion is that you're wasting your profile if you never post. And it's as simple as once or twice a week, but that some ideas for things that you can post, because I hear so often that I have just no idea what to post. So you can post something like a club, like an ASME project, a class project, going to a presentation, or what your experience in applying to grad school or getting an internship is. And there's so many things that students can connect on that by just putting your content out there on LinkedIn, you're going to be able to build that following, establish thought leadership, and make people believe that you have this great profile. And then next up, it's packaging your experience. So we've said the few key words about who are you. We have the about section. That's all about what are you looking for and what have you done. But now your experience is like your living resume. All of your jobs, school projects, and clubs all go into the experience section. And it's just like your resume. So 2 to 4 bullet points of things that people will be interested in, even if they have no idea what you're doing on this specific project. So start with those good action verbs. Don't say you assisted in a team project or you helped out somebody. You need to really use some powerful words. So for English, we would say you spearhead, you designed, you create. And it's those types of words that really show how much impact you've had on these different projects. And make sure you quantify experience. I know most of us here are engineers, so we should have no problem with it. But it's one thing to say that, for example, you grew your ASME chapter. It's another thing to say you grew your ASME chapter by X%. That really makes it tangible and helps people remember you. But also make sure, say what you actually did. If you only say however much you increased membership or revenue, people will have no idea what you did during your time, and it's going to be too ambiguous for them to want to find out. But now let's say you don't have much experience and you're trying to figure out, how can I still stand out? And this is the same question I had just a couple of years back. I had no internships. I wasn't yet involved in ASME, but there's a lot of other things that you can do with your profile. You can list your volunteer experience, the courses, any big awards that you've won, big projects you've done in class or in clubs. For many here, it seems like everybody speaks at least 2 languages. That's a huge plus for your profile. And then interests and groups. So for example, for Purdue, we have an alumni group, and that's what makes it an easy way for us to go reach out to alumni of the university and connect and try and either find a job or just to meet them. And now here's the last part, is that you need to be found. Now we went through what you need to do on your profile, but I'm telling everybody to do this. How do you really get your leg up? And it's about, there's a skills section, and you can list up to 50 skills. And the more times you have a specific word on your profile, the more likely you're to come up when I look for it. So for example, if you have the word engineer on your profile 50 times, but another person only has it on their profile twice, when I look up engineer, the person that has 50 times the engineer on their profile, they're going to come up higher in the search results. And I'll set a broader location. And then instead of just specifying it down to your city, it seems everybody here, everybody that goes to Universidad del Norte is fortunate to have, the metropolitan area. And that's going to be able to expand your network and your reach to more people who aren't just in your specific city. Make a custom profile link, because when you make your LinkedIn account, it'll say your name. So for example, mine was like Marcus Lannie and then a string of 20 different numbers and letters. You want to be able to put it on your resume. So you can just take off the numbers and letters and just make it your name. You can get and give recommendations to your friends or to people in industry to really show that other people think you have incredible skills as well. And finally, just be active. When you're able to comment, you're able to post, and you're able to network. And by having this strong profile, you're going to be able to really make some genuine connections and help other people grow, but also develop yourself personally. So now, do we have any big questions on building your LinkedIn profile before we start talking about how to actually use your LinkedIn profile?
Does it matter the number of editions I make?
Can you say that again? Does it matter the number?
Of editions. I mean, if I edit my profile so much, is that bad?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm thinking cut out for me. If you hate your number of connections?
If I edit, I change. If I make too much change, is that bad?
No, more change the better, because it's a living document. So it's something that it's a lot easier to sit down and do it all at once, but it's never bad to change your profile to always keep it current.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, right on. So you're wordless. You know what? Me too, Juan. So we're gonna keep it cooking, keep moving forward. So now we talked about building the profile, and then we're gonna start talking about how do you start popping. Right now, your profile is good, but you're like popcorn. We're heating you up, you explode, but now you have to go do something with all that energy. So we're gonna talk about networking and then leveraging it to build your student organization. So first off, your goal of networking is to build relationships to help you grow. The goal of networking is not to get something. It's not to find a job, but it's to meet people that might be able to help you on your journey to get your job or get whatever you're really looking for. It's an opportunity to explore new fields. I've worked almost more time outside of mechanical engineering, whether it's sales, marketing, or product, than in mechanical engineering, because the mentors that I found and looked up to really strove to expand your horizons and don't just look into mechanical engineering, and that aligned well with my personal interests. It helps you find those internship opportunities, but also connect your network to opportunities. Just this week, I was really fortunate to have a family friend that I might be able to help her align with a job from somebody that I met through my university. And what's great about that is it's such a good feeling when you're able to help somebody else by leveraging your network. And finally, you're going to meet friends and grow ASME. So specifically, how are you growing ASME? And first off, you're going to be able to show off any cool projects, social events, and member success. Because when they know that your ASME chapter has all these incredible things going on, people are going to want to join. And then you're going to be accepting all this members because you're going to have more demand. And it's going to be a great way to actually reach out to prospective members. I felt kind of weird doing this by sliding in people's DMs and just saying, I've seen your profile. It looks like you're interested in, for example, biomedical engineering. Would you be interested in joining the prosthetics team? I feel weird because at that time, I still thought LinkedIn was kind of like Instagram. We are sliding in the DMs and it might not be the most normal. But on LinkedIn, it is completely normal to go slide in those DMs and you can go recruit members. I know I've personally recruited, I think, at least 50 members by sliding in LinkedIn DMs, and that can really help your organization blossom. And by connecting with some ASME chapters around the world, we found incredible project ideas. Hell, I've been able to come to this presentation and meet so many great people, but then you're also able to really make that ripple effect of impact around the world. And finally, here's a big one, at least for our chapter of ASME, because we are funded by external partners. So only companies that we get a little money from our university, but not enough to really sustain everything. So we started using LinkedIn to identify people that might be able to sponsor our program. And we say, if you come in to give us an information session, or we'll slap your logo on one of our products, we would be very grateful for you to give us a little money for that, as we will be hopefully supplying you with engineers for your entry-level roles and also internship roles. So being able to connect with people from all over the world and some incredible companies, ranging from, we're having a Tesla info session, we've talked with Google, and we get other big companies that want to come in and recruit our members just because we've been showing off the projects. We have members doing really big things. And then when people know about it, they want to be able to support you. So now, how do you find these people? And LinkedIn has an awesome search function. You can limit it down by school, their past and current company, their industry, everything that will really help you specify people that you have things in common with, but that you're also able to see maybe they have something that you don't. So how would you network after you find one of these individuals? And an easy way is find cool people, shoot your shot. Don't think about it too much. Don't take so much time drafting up a perfect email, because you need to find a lot of different people that you might be able to build relationships with. And now, one big piece of advice on networking is do not say the M word, mentor. Do not reach out to somebody and say, will you be my mentor? That is so weird. If you ask somebody that, I hope they say no. Because the way to build a mentorship relationship is that you're asking questions, you're seeking their advice, you apply their advice, and then you follow up. And that cycle is what allows you to build a mentor network. So the question we probably all have right now is, how do you actually cold outreach? And for that, I'm going to need a volunteer. So if anybody, drop a message in the chat or unmute yourself, and we'll get you volunteering.
I honestly will want to participate, but I want to see if there's anyone else that is willing to participate from the audience, because,
Let's see, anybody? All right, Juan David, we're running it with you. So maybe you can just briefly introduce yourself to everybody in case anybody doesn't know you, and specifically talk about your interests professionally.
Wow. So my name is Juan David. I'm 21 years old, fifth-year mechanical engineering student, chair of the ASME student section of my university, and I am really interested in the renewable energy sector and risk and project development as well.
Awesome. So do you have a dream company that you might want to work for?
I do.
Which company is that?
Actually, it would be any company related to the Formula One industry.
All right. So we're gonna pretend that we're Juan, and we're gonna line up an internship in the Formula One industry. So we just got on LinkedIn. We went to the search bar. We're gonna look for people. All right, and then we're gonna say, current company. Do you have any like specific Formula One companies in mind?
Ferrari, probably McLaren, Red Bull.
We'll go for Ferrari. You know, they're not incredible or anything. Awesome. And then, okay, now we're going to open up the all filters tab on the side here. And let's see, industry, they're all automotive. And do you have a specific role? Like, do you want to do design or body work or?
Probably material science could be, or just yeah, risk analysis, data control.
Okay, well, let's try material science. Let's see if that works. We're going on a limb here. Nobody. Okay, hold on, we're editing first. Nobody had that one. So we just delete it and we're going to show all the results. We'll go back to the all filters. And maybe the next one we can try is, let's see if we have any graduates from Universidad del Norte that's in the industry. Nobody. So we're going to look for somebody else now. So we're going to change it, show results. And now how about this one? Engineering leader, empowering people to collaborate on technical solutions.
Yeah, probably also research and development could work.
Oh, R&D. All right, let's see.
I think you'll be able to hit someone with that.
Okay, let's look up research and development. Whoa, how about this one? Oh, I need somebody's English profile. We can do somebody that isn't in English. We'll go for this first one. Maria. Oh, he's in Italy. Works for Ferrari. Okay, so he's an R&D engineer, right? Right up your alley.
Yeah, directly.
Awesome. So I reach out to connect. Always make sure when it's somebody like this, you send a message to connect. So I would say, hi, Maria. Saw you worked as an R&D engineer for Ferrari. Incredibly interested in your work and want to learn about your journey in working in the F1 industry. Hope we can connect and stay in touch. Just say kind of how you found them, because I am just some random person on the internet, but say that, we have these similar interests in mind and hopefully we can chat. Hopefully we connect. Boom, sent that invite. And it's just that process of, when you're able to find like 10 or so individuals every day and you have an incredibly high response rate. I mean, I've gotten my response rate, it'll go in between usually 30 and 70% when people reply, but you just have to take a lot of shots. So thank you so much, Juan David, for being our volunteer. Really appreciate it. And we're definitely what you want to talk more about and that you want to learn and hope that you can connect. It's not your goal to schedule a conversation with them out of this very first message. And then here's an even more generic message based upon their degree and their job, and just hope we can stay in touch or hope that we can connect. But just by establishing that relationship now, you'll be able to start building the relationship much more down the road. And now some tips as you're networking is to try and seek to help them more than they help you. And that's really, really weird to say because we're students and we often think, how? They have all this experience. How can I possibly help them? And it's that they want the student perspective. They want to be able to mentor people and they want to be able to help people because it makes them feel good. So by being able to ask them for advice and apply when somebody doesn't reply, that's super weird. Let it go. They don't like you. Move on to the next person. But in the context of LinkedIn, it's super normal to follow up 2, 3 texts, once every other week, I would say is probably a good timeline. And just to make sure people are remembering you. And there's nothing weird about it. And it just helps to make sure that your message and that relationship is still being built. We talked about it just a minute ago, shoot a lot of shots. Maybe the one engineer I just reached out to won't email me back, but maybe one of his colleagues will. So you have to reach out to a good bit of people that still align with what you want to build more change. What is the most important question in a conversation? People often think it's the how are you? Because it is. It's not the tell me about yourself, it's the how are you? And it's all about when you start a conversation, too often people say, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. And then you try and start your conversation. But the next time somebody asks you, how are you? You need to tell them, tell them what you're involved in. How's your day been going? What you're working on? What's interesting you? And that's a way easier way to start a natural conversation. So if you were to ask me how I'm doing, I would tell you, I'm great. It's a happy Friday out here in West Lafayette at Purdue. I'm currently working on my senior design project, designing a regenerative bike braking system for my senior design. And then I'm able to also pivot and maybe talk more about my job. So I'm working with A-Laser as a product manager for all of their ITAR restricted parts. And by being able to give somebody more options to talk about in their conversation, you're going to be able to make a much better connection as opposed to getting into the very autonomous, hello, my name is Marcus Lannie. And that's so boring. You want to be real with them and you're going to build a genuine relationship. And now the start of this is the elevator pitch. It's great to have when you start out, but the secret to a killer elevator pitch is to always adapt your elevator pitch to the conversation. This picture is how I feel often when I'm getting elevator pitches, is that somebody says, for example, I'm Marcus, I'm doing this, I'm interested in this, and they don't care at all about you. So when you're in a conversation, make sure you're trying to identify common interests and build off those intersectional opportunities so you're able to create things in common instead of just pitching yourself to somebody. Remember, it's about them, it's not about you. So do we have any questions about networking before we just wrap up the presentation? All right, very cool. So we'll get just right to the biggest takeaways of today. And it's that LinkedIn is the launch pad for building your brand, growing ASME, and finding opportunities. Like how we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. When you start using LinkedIn, you figure out what's most important to you, what do you want people to know about you, and then how can you portray that information online. You can use it to grow your ASME or your student organization by reaching out to people and by showing off all the cool things that's happening with your specific organization. And finally, you can go find opportunities. When you meet people, when you build relationships with them, they're able to access you to the right people and connect you to the proper individuals that will help you find the opportunities you're looking for. I'd recommend posting once or twice a week, and that's about anything. Your class projects, presentations you've gone to, interesting articles you find, just so people know that you're active and they see what you're interested in. And it'll generate more views and more people seeing your profile. And remember, do not just be a student at Universidad del Norte. Make sure that you're something more, that you combine your different interests, experience, and roles into what truly makes you you. You're more than just a student. You're more than just who you are at university. You have so many different skills and strengths, and make sure you tap into both of them to successfully brand yourself. Shoot your shot. Don't think too hard about sending messages or who to reach out to, because it's just a message. If they don't reply, it's no big deal, but it has a huge upside in case they do reply and you start building a relationship. And that's the last thing. It's all about building relationships. You're not there just to connect with somebody, just to try and use them to get a job. You're there to learn about them, to see how you can help them. And then in turn, if they have anybody in their network or any opportunities that might be able to help you. So overall, thank you all so much. You've been an incredible audience. Here's just the left is my QR code to my profile. I'd love to connect, stay in touch. Let me know how I can help building your profile or building your student org. And the other one is a feedback survey. If you give me a couple minutes of feedback, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
Marcus, thank you. Honestly, I am completely wordless, speechless, everything less, because it was really overwhelming in the good sense. So honestly, on behalf of CEIM and the ASME student section here at the Universidad del Norte, I would like to express my gratitude to you for sharing your experience and all your knowledge with us. I am certain that every piece of advice and lesson you have shared with us will be cherished in each and every single one of us. It has been completely unique, and we will keep them all in mind in order to start our own journey as undergraduate students and also to get to the best version of ourselves. We hope that each and every single one of you that are here today were able to learn as much as we did. Huge thanks to the ASME Purdue student section for promoting and sharing this event with us. And overall, thank you to every single one of you that decided to attend this conference. It wouldn't have been the same without you. And we look forward to having you again in future encounters as well. So thank you so much. Please keep in touch with our social media as well. And we hope to see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, everybody.